Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Lesson Plans, where relationships are greater than worksheets. Some days feel full, but our tanks are running on empty, and that's where this conversation begins today. In this episode, we're talking about how to fill our days in ways that actually restores us, not just checks the boxes. Because at the end of the day, strong relationships will always matter more than perfectly completed worksheets. How you doing today, Erin?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm good. I see more and more posts on Facebook of how do you manage to get it all in a day? And how did you, homesteading, that's a very popular thing to do now, is buy a few acres and have chickens and all the little farm animals. And how did you fit that in with schooling, with household chores, with babies and all of the things? And so we're going to discuss it a little bit of how it worked in our days. Now, neither one of us are homesteaders. So
I was just going to say, I don't have experience in that, but if we did have a little homestead, my children would be 100% in the thick of it with me.
Yes. And I did feel like I had a zoo full of children
at
times. but it was, but we never had a homestead. We're city folk.
Yeah.
But, so would you say that you had a strict or a loose schedule?
Very loose.
Okay.
Loosey-goosey.
Fly by the seat of the pants?
90% of the time.
Did you have definitive wake up, go to bed times?
No.
So you didn't start school at a certain time every day?
No.
You just, it's
very easy. No.
Well, that's good. I mean, if it worked for you, that's great. But that's your personality.
Yeah.
And you guys were night owls, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were up really late. We got a lot of stuff done, though, when, it was time to go to bed. For the rest of the world, we were maybe cleaning, maybe getting some school done, researching topics, Mm-hmm. No, we were like little night owls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in my home, we were not. We were much more, well, I mean, in all of these episodes, we've talked about our personality differences, and you were much more loosey-goosey, and I was much more, I don't know. I don't have a nickname for myself, but much more.
I did not know that my nickname was loosey-goosey.
Well, just your type, I guess. Maybe that's not might not be the best. I don't know.
I like it. I'll take it.
Well, but you're much more type B. You're much more calm.
Yeah.
Much more, we'll get it done. We're just going to plod through it. And I was much more.
Little type A?
Yeah, a little bit more. Hey, we'll be up at 7. We'll be to school by 8. Get it all done.
Yeah.
Did you find a huge difference between your elementary year schedules and your high school year schedules?
Yeah, the high school was, I would say, it was less scheduled than elementary. Mm-hmm. That was a lot more up to the kids. I didn't leave it fully up to them, but when you start getting into OTEC and you start having employed children and you start having driver's training and, all that stuff factors into it. So it's a lot looser.
Right. So run us through just a very simple, what your day might look like when you first started.
So I would, I wasn't letting the kids sleep until noon, except maybe during COVID. That was a different time.
There was no rules in COVID.
There really wasn't. I'd start getting them up. We'd have breakfast together. And then I would say I probably wanted to get started around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And then we would do the first thing that the kids always did is, I did not find this to be political like it is now, but CNN had like a really good kids.
Oh yeah. Student news.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't say it was biased one way or the other.
Right.
I didn't notice a lot of that. If I did, we wouldn't be watching it. But every day they would watch that. That's how they started their day. And then I had a little whiteboard, and we would have all the subjects on the board that I wanted to accomplish that day. And a lot of that was already predetermined through My Father's World. But there were probably extras that we wanted to do. And then, make some time for cleaning, and that was kind of our day. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a set time of like when I wanted to wrap it up.
Okay.
I think we just kind of powered through as long as we could do it. Mm-hmm. And tried to get as much as we could, but sometimes you have to stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I would say our elementary years were much, much more scheduled, but I had 4, and they weren't real close in age. So I think there's 8 years between my oldest and my youngest. And so I think for my own sanity, I had to kind of schedule out the days because we had nap times in there, and we had, just different feeding times and all that. So I would say in our elementary years, we would get up around 7 and we'd have breakfast, and we would do our morning chores of make the bed, brush your teeth, comb your hair,
Ooh.
Get dressed.
We never did that kind of stuff.
We were not the pajama homeschoolers.
Oh, we were.
I don't know. I just couldn't do it. And then we would start between 8 and 9 with the chores done and personal hygiene. So I can't function in a dirty kitchen.
Okay.
So I had to have the kitchen clean. I had to have the table clear, and I had to know that their beds were made and their rooms were tidy.
Okay.
So then we would do school from probably 8:30, 9 o'clock until 11:30. Mm-hmm. Then we'd have lunch. Mm-hmm. And then we might watch, I don't know, a little episode of something. Maybe Price is Right or craziness. Maybe, I don't know, a short excerpt of a episode of something.
Okay.
Maybe half an hour during lunch. And then they would have nap time or quiet time, depending on who was doing what.
So while Levi was taking his nap, then the rest of the kids would be doing reading or something quietly?
Yes. They would do some reading. They would do Legos. They would do, if they had science, maybe they would do some science. But pretty much everybody kind of went to their own space and had a rest time.
Okay. Did you rest with them?
Depending on the day, yes.
Okay.
There was a lot of nap time in our days. Mom's going to take a nap. You guys, I might be on the couch. I might go to my room. I don't know. But a lot of times we would have a rest time where the whole family just kind of reset.
Okay.
Then we would get up and we would finish any school that maybe still had a few things to do on it. And I would say by 2 or 3, we were free for the day.
Okay.
So they had maybe a couple things to do to clean up, and maybe clean the bathroom, do whatever. They would have maybe an afternoon chore, and then they were free until dinner.
All right.
Then they had maybe, if someone had to do reading practice, I might call them in while I was prepping dinner and have them read to me, or have them finish their worksheet. If there was something that wasn't clicking, we could work on it while I was cutting and chopping and cooking. Sometimes one of the girls would come help me cook because they wanted to. It wasn't necessarily required. And somebody would set the table. And then our family would usually have dinner between 5:30 and 6. And after 6:30 to 7:30, we would have family time, baths, outside, family walk, whatever. It was just family time. And they were in bed by 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Ooh.
Yeah, we had early bedtimes. And my kids swear that they had those bedtimes till they were teenagers, but I know it wasn't the case. But they do remember. We went to bed with the lights, it was still light outside sometimes, and I could hear the neighbors cutting their grass or whatever, but, they sleep well.
Yeah.
And they needed their sleep.
Yeah.
We all needed them to sleep so we
Yeah.
could maintain our sanity. And most times they had played enough in the day that they didn't stay up and just, stare at the ceiling. They were tired. They went to bed. But did you have any family traditions like dinner time? Everybody pitched in, chores.
Yeah, well, we did chores together. That was part of like our day. We've talked before about me using like the Fly Lady, but I very loosely use the Fly Lady more. She has her zones, but she is very like regimented, like routines and schedule, and not necessarily a schedule, but just a lot of routine. I don't do a lot of that, but I give the kids a list. They would help me out through the day. And some days we wouldn't do a lot around the house, but we might spend a couple hours, like maybe on a Thursday or Friday. So we were winging everything. Trying to get through just winging it.
Did you, so throughout their ages, did any of it change through middle school? Did you find it hard to, because I always hear, how do you get your kids to do the chores? How do you get them to do their school? My kids won't do anything. And how did you ensure that they did what you needed them to do?
I think that sometimes you have to pause on everything and get to the root of why your children are not participating, or why aren't they listening to you? Why do they think it's okay to not do things as a family? I mean, we're members of the same house. We're all in it together. Right. So sometimes you got to like not allow them not to do it.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, sometimes it was a struggle. Sometimes they didn't always do it willingly.
Right.
But you got to figure out what's going on and have, a nice sit down conversation.
Yes.
With your kids about what's going on.
Did you have consequences if they didn't do their chores?
I don't think I had anything written out, but it was probably like, well, you don't get to do X, Y, Z until your list is done.
Right.
And I'm sure they knew that there were consequences, and I'm sure that we had to implement some of them sometimes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always, did you have a, Monday is this, Tuesday is that? No.
No, because like some people do their laundry on Mondays.
I
won't mention names. But what if you're not home on a Monday? Then what, you just skip laundry for a whole week? Like, I don't get it.
No, I don't have enough clothes for that. No, you sneak it in elsewhere. But we talked before we started recording about how our moms, now my mom was always a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And my mom was the ultimate stay-at-home mom. Like she had some jobs she did through the years here and there, but she never was a full-time working mom. She just seamlessly seemed to handle it. She seemed to just be able to flow from one thing to the next. Our house was always clean. The dishes were always done. There was always home-cooked meals. It just happened. And I don't know, she was pretty regimented. I mean, laundry was Mondays.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have your basket down, you were going to get in trouble for not having your basket down. But we just flew through life just knowing how, just watching her and observing her. And, she didn't homeschool us, but she took care of everything else. The house was her priority.
So by you watching her, did you implement any of her systems into your life?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so. I mean, there's a lot of, when your mom's coming over and you have to clean up and we don't want people to know we sit, like the videos of everybody running around with their heads cut off because their mom's coming to visit and they have a real life house, but, my kids would say I do that, but I don't feel like I do that. But there is an element of, wanting to live up to the standard that she upheld for us. And, it was just, you do it, you know, and you take the time to do it no matter what. So, I mean, I remember there was lots of times that I'd be scrubbing the floor and kids are telling me multiplication facts or, whatever. And I'm multitasking doing two things, but, we looked up a few things because we were interested in how much time. So my mom is nigh unto 80. And so the amount of time that she would have spent or her mom would have spent doing housework versus how much modern conveniences have reduced that time. And so we said in the 1950s, The old Google said that they would spend between 57 and 77 hours a week doing housework.
It's wild.
Yeah, that is wild.
So that was probably before your modern conveniences. They were hand washing clothes.
Yeah, the old ringer
dishes.
washes.
Yeah.
Ringer washers. I don't
Yeah.
think I said that right. Yeah, no dishwasher, no microwave. The vacuum there was no attachments.
It was probably 50 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, the Kirby, there was no attachments to quickly, suck up all the stuff in the corners. You had to go through with your little duster and your broom.
And didn't it say that they were like polishing the silver and
the brass? And
yeah,
it's wild. Let me see if I can go to that tab on my phone because I wanted to save it. Okay, so it says, in addition to daily chores, 15 to 20 hours a week were spent on deep cleaning, such as polishing silver, waxing floors, and cleaning brass. So no wax floors weren't even a thing. So their daily tasks included cooking 3 meals from scratch.
Yeah, because I don't think TV dinners made an appearance until probably, the 60s or 70s?
Yeah. Washing your dishes by hand, daily sweeping of porches, mending your clothes, because you didn't have a whole closet full of clothes. You only had 2 or 3 dresses. And ironing everything from sheets to underwear. Everything was cotton, linen, Daily shopping. There was no polyester, so everything wrinkled like crazy.
Yeah.
Daily shopping. Because household refrigerators were small or rare, many of the housewives had to shop daily. So I cannot imagine having to go to Kroger every day.
No, I wouldn't. And they didn't have they may have delivered. They did have the milkman come, right?
Mm-hmm. My mother-in-law talks about a donut man that used to come down the street. And her
It's better than an ice cream man.
But her grandma used to chase the donut man down because he would pass by too fast and she didn't have her money out. Yeah, maybe. And then laundry day, and maybe that's where I get the Monday's laundry day, is laundry was often a full day event because you had to scrub the stains out and you had the wringing and you had to hang it on the clothesline. So
And then iron, fold, and put away.
Yeah. I mean, I know in our household growing up, Monday was laundry day and my mom did everybody's laundry. Obviously, we had machines, but she did everybody's laundry and washed, folded, and ironed all my dad's shirts and everything all on Monday. That was Monday. And then yet sometimes she still made dinner and did all of that stuff in between there too. But we contrasted it on Google and how many hours a day that we spend, the average person, not we, but the average person spends on household duties now. And it's at 10.5 hours a week.
And I feel like that's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of time to be spending doing housework. But, I mean, it's probably...
But if you figure even an hour a day of tidying up, vacuuming, now you got to start the Roomba.
Yeah, right.
It's a lot of work.
I don't even think you have to do anything. I think it just does it on a timer.
But, I mean, we have so many modern conveniences. So why do we always feel like our days are so full?
Because we have cell phones, screen time, tablets. I think that's why personally.
Yeah. Social media.
I don't think most of the phones now come with some type of a screen time alert or monitoring, but it's crazy the amount of time we spend on the phones.
And all you got to do is hit ignore limit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it keeps going.
My sister-in-law told me that you could set these limits. So I did in September. I set everything on a limit. I not one single time have ever turned my phone off when my limit warning came. I just have always pressed ignore. I don't even know why I have it on there. It's so sad.
Well, we also looked up some statistics on that too. And it's kind of
scary.
It's kind of it really points to why we feel so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Is because we are spending so much time sucked away from just in real life.
It definitely is stealing your time away. This happens to me personally. I might have to get on my phone to look at my calendar, or I have to get on the phone to look up a recipe, and a social media app may have already been open. And then when you open your phone, you're just sucked in there automatically.
Yep. So we checked it out, and it says that the average person spends 5+ hours a day just on their phone. And they check it 58 times a day is average. Because there's a lot of times that I'll meaningfully go try to look at something, and then I get diverted.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this text came in, I got to respond to that. Somebody suggested this reel. Okay, I'm going to, this is, you just get diverted for even 10 or 15 minutes here, 10 or 15 minutes there. And then all of a sudden it's an hour, 2 hours. And you're like, wow, I gotta get off here. I gotta go do stuff.
Yeah.
But generationally, this was interesting too, of how the generations spend time on their phones. And so, the baby boomers, which would be my parents' age. Is your mom a boomer, or is she?
What year was the boomer?
1946 to 1964.
She's a boomer.
Okay. So both of our parents are boomers, and they probably spend about 3.5 hours a day. Would you say that's true for your mom?
No.
Would you say less?
No.
Okay. I would say for my parents, it is less until they sit down at night.
Yeah.
Or early morning sometimes. And it's just, you'll be sitting there trying to watch a movie, and they'll have their video on full blast. Yep. That's always the best. Gen X, which would be Erin and I, 1965 to 1980. It's average of 4 to 5 hours a day. The millennials, which is 1981 to 1996, is at 4.5 hours a day, average.
Okay.
So that seems actually a little less than Gen X, which is kind of interesting. But then you go to Gen Z, and that's 1997 to 2012, Gen Z, and they're upwards of 6 hours a day.
That's crazy.
So if you look at most of the parents of young people right now are probably Gen Z or millennials, you're now at the point where if you're feeling overwhelmed by your schedule, you really need to analyze this, because it could be sucking up 6 hours of your daytime. If you're only up 14 hours a day and you're spending 6 doing that, then of course you're going to feel the time crunch of everything else.
And I don't think it's at any fault of, you're going to have to recognize it, and you're going to have to take control of the situation. But the phones are designed to pull you in like that. They're designed to keep you on the phone.
Right.
So you have to just say, when you, even if you're on there, like, let's say 10 times at 15 minutes, because that is a very realistic problem for me, that's a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
You can get so much done in 15 minutes, so many small tasks.
Yeah. And that is one thing is, a lot of people look at a task and go, oh, I just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But if you really calculate how long it's going to take you to mop your kitchen floor, it's probably under 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's if you're mopping. If you're hand down scrubbing, you might be a half an hour.
Yeah.
But that's sweeping, moving everything out of the way. That's a total deep clean of it. Running a Swiffer over, it's only going to take a few minutes.
Yeah. That was big with the Fly Lady, is setting a timer. And setting a timer really, I don't know what happens mentally, but it keeps you on track. And it really helps you see, like, I set the timer for 15 minutes, how much I can accomplish. It's crazy. It really is crazy. You get the dishes done, loaded, unloaded, wash the counters down, sweep the kitchen floor. Like, you get so much done in 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the one thing that was really kind of interesting when we were looking things up was the next generation, Gen Alpha. So this was 2013 to 2024. So these kids are 2 to 13. They spend between 3 and 7 hours a day.
I would say you could probably be on the higher end of that. I think that if parents are reporting those numbers, they might be embarrassed and not reporting them truthfully. Because these kids are on their stuff constantly.
And that was one thing that we wanted to kind of point out too, is I've always told the parents in our co-op and our, people who've asked me, like, how did you do cell phones in your house? And how did you do this? And we did cell phones probably once the kids were about 13, 14, and maybe they had jobs, maybe they had things that they needed to go do. With our oldest, they didn't have smartphones yet when he was that age. So he started out with the old flip phone, and he was thrilled to death. Like he had it, and he was able to text his friends, "Hey, can you guys play?" That kind of stuff. But the slide up phones with the keyboard and the flip phones were the only phones options. And then came the smartphones, and he was probably 15, 16 before he got a smartphone. But I would say that don't give your kids a phone or a iPad, whatever, any sort of thing that will give them social media, or even the games are addictive. I mean, I think they can be. But don't give that until you want their childhood to end.
Yeah.
Erin and I have discussed this multiple times, that once we gave those to our kids, that's when we saw their creativity get stifled.
Yeah.
Maybe they're, I don't know, you always call Anthony a tinkerer.
Yeah.
And his tinkering drastically reduced.
Oh, he, I would call him a Tinkerbell. Just because, Tinkerbell got her name from tinkering, but he was like my booby trap master. He was always creating, making, building, everything. And then he was supposed to go to the store to get a bike for his birthday, and they couldn't find a bike, so they came home with a gaming system. And I remember sitting at the dinner table. We're going to pray for Anthony's birthday dinner, and I'm praying and I'm crying, but I didn't want them to know that I was crying because he got a gaming system. So I was crying, I can't believe my baby's 11. And I look up at John, and he's just giving me the most evil look.
But you were mourning the loss of his childhood.
Was.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's bad when you have a child who's just so imaginative and so creative, and then it really does. It just dies. It's done.
Yeah. We definitely had limits. We have some of our children who are much more invested in their phone and much more. The other ones could care less. I don't know if it's personality. I don't know if it's habits. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's their schedules.
Okay.
I don't really know what promotes, the phone addict versus the non-phone addict. But it definitely does change their childhood. Mm-hmm. There's some pros to it. I know, my struggling speller, once she learned to text, was much better at spelling. It did help.
So that's called unschooling. See how that works?
Yes. But she, it did help her because she wanted to communicate with her friends. She wanted to spell properly.
Yeah.
So she would, look things up, or she would, autocorrect it, and it would help. But even sometimes autocorrect doesn't autocorrect correctly.
That's my problem.
And so you can end up with the wrong word, even though you
sometimes
tried.
Mine was so bad. When we had Word, remember you could go through on Word and do the spell check. It would say no suggestions found. I spelled it that bad. Okay.
Yes. But definitely do think twice before giving those things to your kids, and hold off as long as you can. If you can get a family phone that just travels with the kids when they're working or something, and it comes home, and it's not just one kid's device.
Yeah.
I looked it up the other day because Bob was inquiring. He's like, "Man, I miss just having a flip phone." And so we actually looked it up on our carrier. They still have them.
Yeah.
So if you want to get your kids a phone, but you don't want them to have all the addictiveness of it, get them a flip phone.
Well, for us in our generation, I think we would have to go with the jitterbug, right?
The big numbers, yes. Definitely keep your children young as long as you can.
Yeah.
Even though it's more mess,
And it's hard because you do try to keep up with the times, and you don't want your child to be odd man out. And, all their friends have the cell phones and the tablets. But you also have to remember, like, we're homeschooling. Most of us are homeschooling because we see what's happening, And it's hard to resist the temptations of the technologies. But, just try to hold out as long as you can.
Yeah. My kids always had to save up for their first. So my kids all had iPods fairly young, but they all bought them with their own money. But iPods really are harmless. They didn't have any apps or anything at the time. That it was just the music player. And then they went into the iPads. We had the little Game Boys, Nintendo DS type things. But unless we were on a trip, they didn't play with those much. In the car, riding for 10 hours, they would get them. But everything else had a time limit at home.
Okay.
And so they might get a half an hour to play, and then they had to go outside. I mean, there's a book out now called The 1,000 Hours Outside. It's kind of strange to me because I never thought about that when my kids were little, of trying to get 1,000 hours outside. And I think it's a year, like in a year. So it equates to like 2.5 hours a day.
I was going to say, what is that? It's 2.5 hours a day.
I think that's what I read.
For families who aren't outside, that's a lot of time outside.
It is. Yeah. And I understand not every family is an outdoorsy type family, but that's where a lot of the, everybody's worried about their kids being bored. Mm-hmm. But I think your kids being bored is amazing.
It is. They're supposed to be bored.
That's when the creativity comes out. Like, let's make a tent with our trampoline, or and we're inside more probably because we live in Michigan and the weather's not always cooperative, but there's a lot of time to send your kids outside and play and create and build that tree house, or ride their bikes. And it's a lot scarier world out there now than it was probably even when our kids were small, but it's definitely worth getting them outside and getting them away from the addictive nature of the screens. And we were at, I think it was at Home Team recently, and we were talking about the movie WALL-E. And have you ever seen the movie WALL-E?
Oh, yeah. I think about it all the time when I see, for some reason, it might be, what do they call that when your algorithm is like speaking to you directly? Mm-hmm. They have this way of doing work now where you're literally laying down, like, and the desk pivots towards you as you're reclined. And I'm like, isn't that like WALL-E? Like, I don't think we're supposed to be doing that.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's just, we were talking about the movie and some of the moms hadn't seen it. And I was like, really, you need to go home and watch that movie because it will change your life in how you think about using everything robotic and not having to learn how to do this or that.
Yeah.
And it's just, I feel like our society is definitely moving towards that sort of,
or that idiocracy.
Okay. But it's just, I think so many things are easy now compared to the old, and I think that's why some of the families are going back to homesteading, because they don't want everything for their kids to be just easy, and they want them to learn how to work hard and how to think outside the box and
where our food comes from.
Yes, yes. And I think that those families are seeing their kids come alongside and work next to them.
Yeah.
Now, did you do everything with your kids as far as chores wise? How did chores work at your house?
So for the most part, I mean, there were always things that I did separate, but I always had them helping me with, house chores. Like I said, I'd give them a list of things that they needed to do. Mm-hmm. But there were definitely, like, I think what you said once was genius. Like, if I'm up cleaning the house, no one gets to lay down and relax. You said something along those lines.
Yeah.
And it makes so much sense. Like, it's not fair for me to be running around the house cleaning while you guys are loafing around scrolling or playing on your iPads or whatever. Like, you need to get up. We're a family. There's no reason that you can't be helping.
And everybody needs to be a contributing member to the family.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one who eats on these dishes. I'm not the only one who walks on these floors. I'm not the only one who knows how to do laundry. So, get up and help take care of yourself. Like, I shouldn't have to come after you and clean up after you. And so even now I'll look at Levi and I'll be like, man, you left a trail. You better go clean it up. And he knows exactly what I mean. He's the only one still at home, but we have a couple living with us right now because they're working on their kitchen, and it's just different. It's more hands, more feet make the mess. And we always had the rule at home that when all the kids were at home and they were young, there's a 10-minute family cleanup.
Yes.
And we're going to set the timer for 10 minutes, and maybe we're trying to do a family movie night, or maybe we're trying to leave to go to church or something like that. And like I said, I can't function. I can't sit down and watch a movie knowing the rest of the house is a mess. It's just not relaxing for me. And all I can think about is what else I need to do. And so we would say, okay, 10 minutes, and everybody gets assigned an area. And once your area is done, you help in the next person's area. And as long as, it wasn't the whole house, it was just maybe kitchen, living room, dining room area where we did school, front foyer with shoes, whatever.
Your hot spots.
Yeah. Everybody pitches in. Everybody gets it done in less than 10 minutes. It was 6 people.
But, that's 60 minutes. That's 60. It's a whole man hour.
Yeah.
I like to tell the kids that too, remind them. Like, if we set the timer for 20 minutes and there's 3 of us, 4 of us doing stuff, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And especially when they're older.
Yeah.
Like now all of ours are grown. So, 3 people doing 60 minutes or 10 minutes is a lot of stuff done.
Yeah.
And so then we could all sit down, we could enjoy our movie all together, and it kept that relationship of mom doesn't feel overwhelmed and overburdened. And so yet the kids got to enjoy something.
So as a mom, sometimes it is harder to have your kids do stuff, especially if you want it done a very specific way. Mm-hmm. So I know some moms have a hard time giving that control up, but you have to give it up because you're not doing them any favors by just taking the reins and doing it yourself. You're stressing yourself out. You're not preparing them for when it's time for them to be in their own home. Mm-hmm. Even if you need something done, it's a lot easier to spend a couple weeks when they're younger really maybe showing them, like, if you want it done a certain way, like, let's take a couple weeks to teach them. Mm-hmm. They're going to get better the more they do it.
Right.
And then when you really need them to do a good job, maybe in a couple of years, because
your mother's coming.
Because grandma's coming over. You have the confidence that they're going to be able to do that.
Right.
But that's all. It is hard. It's hard. And it is easier just to do it yourself, but you're burning yourself out.
Yes. And I find so many parents, not even just in our co-op, but just parents societally, of when we go somewhere and the kids don't. A prime example. We're setting up for a party. We look over and there's 17 kids, perfectly able children, able to set up tables and chairs, but they're not focused on what's really happening in the room. Mm-hmm. They're going to enjoy that party.
Yeah.
They're going to have a good time. But mom and dads aren't going, hey, get over here and set these tables and chairs up. Now, there are a great portion of parents that do. I'm not saying that that's, a character issue. It's just there are a certain sect of parents that feel like their kids shouldn't have to help.
Yeah.
And I cannot say that enough. That is not going to service them well in the future.
That's crazy because I remember it was time to clean up when we were at our first location and we needed to vacuum. And I was like, okay, girls, I need you to grab the vacuum. I want you to vacuum this room. And they were 2 sisters, and they looked at me with the biggest eyes like, you're going to make us do something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I am not here to clean up after you guys.
Right.
Like, I am going to help clean up after you, but you guys.
Yeah, you're going to help us. Yeah. Help us. So I think parents are often afraid to I get asked all the time, well, how did you get your kids to like you when they're adults? And I'm like, I didn't really work on that. That is not something I focused on. I focused on preparing them to be adults.
Yeah.
And preparing them to live on their own and preparing them to know how to take care of their own home and their own house. And, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, but they all own their own homes and they all can take care of their home. It's just, they know what to do.
Because realistically, we're not raising children, we're raising adults.
Right. Right. And so they need to be functioning
Yeah.
members of the family.
Yeah.
There's just no way around it. So one thing that we did, and I actually found them, which is funny that I still have them, but I took 3x5 cards, and on one side of the card, it has a chore. So maybe it's weed the garden, or feed the cat, feed the dog, clean up the yard, wash the car, bathe the dog, vacuum.
Here, let me pick one like I'm your child.
Okay. So what would happen is I would fan them out, and they were color-coded.
Okay.
So they might be easy chores or medium chores. And so I would say you need to pick 1 red and 2 blue. So maybe they were easy or hard. And so they would pick one.
Okay.
So you pick one.
All right.
And she picked an E, so it's for easy.
It says, massage mom's feet.
Yeah, right.
Just kidding. Wipe down the windowsills. So on one side it says wipe down the windowsills. The description is take a damp cloth and do all the windowsills. Remove what is on the windowsill and wash underneath. So to get like all the hidden boogers.
Boogers, bugs,
Yeah.
cat hair,
Okay.
whatever. And they had to go around the whole house and do that.
That's a very easy task.
Very easy.
Yeah.
So it would take them probably 5 minutes.
So now, so that chore is done. Did that go away until next week?
Well, I went through all of the chores every day and decided what needed to be done.
Okay.
So not every one of these. There's probably 20 here. There were some that were everyday cards.
Okay.
But there were some, like feed the dog and cat. You can't go without, But wipe down the windowsills might be once a week. Or clean up the yard.
I mean, at my house, it might be once every couple of years. I remember coming over to Laura's house one day, and she took a Clorox wipe and wiped the hand railing down her stairs. And I thought, I've never even thought to do something. And then I went home and did it, and just sent her a picture, and it was disturbing.
But these are laminated, so that's why they've lasted so long. And my kids were asking about them not too long ago because they wanted to show their spouse, and I found them. And so, but that was an easy way for us to go through and say, okay, this is the deep clean that needs to be done today. Let's do it. I mean, of course, we're always going to be doing dishes.
Yes.
We're always going to be tidying up the school area, putting away toys, that kind of thing. But these were the deep clean things that I felt like needed to be kept up on top of. And with animals and, just heavy traffic, 6 people in a smallish house is a lot of people. You're going to have a lot of foot traffic, and you're going to have more mopping and more vacuum. But everybody, any age, my 2-year-olds would help me empty the dishwasher. My 3-year-olds would,
And that takes a lot of patience.
yeah, it's going to take you 3 times as long.
Yeah.
But they're learning to be a contributing member of the family, and that we all work together to make the home a home. It's home. So that was always one of those things that we really, really did. Did you break your daily tasks into blocks? So if you're a list maker or a big planner, so every day you might have everything you want to get done on it. But what happens if you don't get it all done? So did you break it into okay, this is what I want to get done this week. This is what I want to get done this month. This is what I want to get done before we go back to school in the fall.
No, I didn't really do that.
No?
I probably should have. It never even occurred to me.
Did you have a honey-do list?
I have one right here. I just made John a real tiny one. It's like 4 things.
Oh, well, see?
And they're probably things I could do,
Oh, yeah.
but I don't really want to.
Well, that's just because you're that. Handy.
Actually, it's not. It's like move the refrigerator because, a lot of things fall in between the, and things like pens, knives, scissors, things drop. But now I think we're about halfway up the fridge. And I'm sure I have like really great treasures.
You can name your dust bunnies. I really was not a huge, we had our cards that got the cleaning done. We had our daily kind of general, this is what you're going to do every day. But I have a list of things that I want to do before winter hits again.
So is it written down or is it in your head?
It's in my head.
Okay.
But my husband also has one. So coinciding those sometimes are not the easiest things.
That's crazy.
Because he has bigger projects like redo the front porch.
Yeah.
And I have little projects like paint the doors.
Yeah.
So it's getting us both focused on the same project to get them done quickly is sometimes tricky.
So with those big projects then, did your children, were they involved in those projects?
We are like our own sect of Amish.
Yeah. Very much.
We team up on each other's projects. Right now, Ashton has a kitchen going, and Bobby has a bathroom going. But when we do most of our own. We're big DIYers.
Yeah.
Whether we know how to do it or not, we try it.
And it's a whole family affair.
It is. It is a whole family affair. So we've poured our own driveway, and we've had all of the kids out there mixing cement. We thought that was the way to go at first. That we burnt out the mixer and decided that trucks were a lot easier. So we've built our own garage, our own shed, and added on and different things. But usually the whole family will come together on a big project. We built Gabby's shed last year.
So now having, 8-year-old Levi help build the shed, it probably takes a lot of extra time. But now Levi being 20, almost 20, right?
He turns 19 in June. Yep.
Okay. He could probably build his own shed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it does take extra time. But there's such a huge reward and payoff for that.
Oh, yeah. Well, Levi could probably build a house if he really wanted to. He's learned so much between all the kids buying houses and remodeling houses. And, yeah, he's probably been exposed to the most. Bobby's, all of the guys are really becoming very handy as they age, and Bob's passed a lot of knowledge on to all of the kids. But, we try to be the old-fashioned barn raising. If the family needs help, they're getting help.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've done a lot of our own remodeling, and they definitely have that position of it's a lot more fun if we all do it together.
Yeah.
So that's been very beneficial, and they've all learned some very valuable skills. And do you feel like your husband ever had unrealistic expectations of you and your household of what should have been done?
No, I was very blessed because I would hear stories about husbands coming home and making comments about the house or, when are you going to go get a job? Like that was never, ever, ever, ever. I'm very blessed. So no, it could be a curse because I didn't, there was no expectation. So sometimes a lot of stuff didn't get finished, but no, there was really not a lot of expectations of things needing to be done. How about with you?
No. Bob always said, well, if he came home and through the door and couldn't smell anything cooking, he knew we were going out to dinner. That was the answer. And whether the kids were coming or not was a whole nother story. But he knew that typically I tried to have dinner when he came home. Once he got into insurance industry, it was a little more random as to when he was coming home, but we usually tried to have dinner around 5 to 6, kind of that time. But you were telling me of a story of a lady who was struggling with her husband's expectations.
Yeah.
And so what was their answer there?
So what they did is she was staying home. She left her job to stay home with the children. And I think at that time she only had the one child. And I think her husband was getting frustrated that more wasn't done while he was at work. So they sat down and they said basically, we're not paying someone to take care of the kid. That's why you're home. And just like these would be the responsibilities. Like if we were to hire out a nanny, what would we expect the nanny to take care of? They came up with a list of what the expectations would be. And then that's what she tried to accomplish during the day. And then once the husband came home, everything beyond that is a shared task or a shared chore. So I thought that was amazing. My kids were already too old to implement that at my house. But even like when I look back, so my kids are only 13 months apart. So it was crazy for a very long time. I don't know if I really had feelings of being overwhelmed, and that may have been because I did have such a supportive husband. I don't remember.
And an amazing mom.
Oh, for sure. My mom. Oh, let's talk about her.
She's awesome.
Yeah, anything I'd need, she'd come over and clean for me. I mean, she still will. Can I come over and help you do anything? Yeah, let's go clean the basement. Let's just set the timer for 20 minutes.
Yeah. She was always such a blessing. I was always a little, my mom didn't live close by, and so I was always a little jealous of your mom. Like, oh man, your mom comes over. No, my mom helps when she's here, but it's just a different thing when your mom is right next door. Not next door, but literally. But she was close enough that she could pop in for coffee and pop in for, just watching the kids even while you did something. Yeah. But the husband's expectation is really interesting. Bob never had any expectations, but he always told my kids that, and even now he still tells them, because we have a couple of kids that are working part-time and staying home full-time to take care of their home. And he always told them, Mom always looked at it as her job was to do as much as she could during the day so that when I got home at night, it was family time. Yeah. So if I could and found time in the day, I'd cut the grass so that he didn't have to cut the grass. Yeah. I would, I don't know. I mean, just whatever I could do. I'm not changing the oil. I don't do that, but my boys did once they got old enough. Yeah. And whatever we could do, clean up the yard, move rocks, whatever needed to be done, we would do as much as we could. We tore up an old driveway. We did a lot of that while he was gone at work, so that when he got home, he could spend one-on-one time with the kids. Yeah. So I do feel like that is.
But to me, that's a different mindset of what we're being presented. Like, because I do so much for John, and I love doing so much for John. Mm-hmm. But I feel like you go on social media and they're just constantly dogging husbands. And if a husband can't make his lunch, in what world would I ever want to make my husband's lunch? Like, that's crazy to me. I love making, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just a different feminist mindset. I don't know what it is.
Right. But yet in the Christian world, we're also very, very focused on the Proverbs 31 woman, and that's this standard that we're supposed to uphold. And it's this, sometimes it's presented as almost unattainable. And so like you said in your story, sitting down and saying, okay, this is what I can do in a day. Yeah. If I can get anything else done above that, then that's great, but don't expect too much.
And there's seasons when you have a small baby.
Yes.
Yes. And even toddlers. I mean, it really is seasons, and to revisit that with your husband on a regular basis is probably a good idea.
Right. Do you think that common household chores are not commonplace anymore? I see a lot of moms overwhelmed because their kids don't do chores.
Oh, well, that's silly. I don't know. Why aren't they doing chores? Like, that's silly.
You have young adults living in your home. Yeah. So do you do a lot of, because it does change. Like I wrote out our schedules as our kids got older and realized that in the high school years, especially because my kids were at OSTC, depending on whether they were AM or PM sessions, because there's 2 sessions, they would go from like 6 o'clock in the morning and then come, they'd be at school by 7:15. They'd be home around 10:45, 11. They'd have lunch. They'd cram in their school from 12 to 3 or so. And then they'd be off back at robotics, or they'd be at work, and then they'd be home 10, 11, shower, clean up,
Yeah.
bed. So there wasn't a lot of times for those daily
Yeah.
contributions of chores. But there was still a minimum expected.
Yes.
You need to maintain yourself.
Yes.
But do you still do your grown kids' laundry?
Genevieve, not really. I would say the last couple of years, she's really done a great job of doing her own laundry. Anthony's laundry, he will do, but it makes its way into our laundry basket. Like that's at the end of the hall. So I usually just do it. But John's often said, don't do his laundry anymore. But I should also say that John and Anthony work at the same company. So they have matching uniforms. So it's easier for me just to put all the shirts in the washing machine instead of going through each one and trying to figure out whose size is what and which one should I pull out.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's just something that I've always, if it's down there on laundry day, I'll do it. I don't care whose it is. If you don't get it down there, then you're on your own kind of thing. I'm not going to go chase it down. But I do realize that, once my kids were in Ashton and Bobby, especially like when they were in OSTC, Bobby was so into the robotics that it was nonstop for him. Ashton, she had cosmetology and she had to have those 1,500 hours.
Yeah.
And so she was getting up in the morning, doing her school from 7 to 10:15, getting ready, going to OTEC. She was at OTEC from 11:15 to like 3:45 every day because it had to be so many hours for the state program. And then she would be off to work at 4, work until 10. They closed at 10, then clean up and back home. And I mean, she was just cranking it out, in those high school years. So, but they were all, she did, they did well. Like they didn't struggle. We came alongside them and helped them, like, hey, do you need, what do you need help with? Or, brothers would do oil changes and stuff. And the weekends were, catch up on whatever you need to do. But you just don't realize sometimes their high school years could be busier than my day to day. And so it was times where they needed help getting through.
Yeah. You have to be understanding of that.
Right.
I mean, I guess you could be a drill sergeant and be like, nope, I know you're really busy, but you got to get all this done anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And not to say that there's anything wrong with that because that is legitimately real life.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You have deadlines.
Yeah.
You have, my husband always has deadlines and sometimes he makes them and sometimes he doesn't. That is definitely real life.
Real life is you're at work all day and you come home and there's things that need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, for sure. When you're feeling overwhelmed and you've got little ones, what did you do to kind of reset your mind and restore your...
I called my mom.
Mom, can you come over?
I didn't struggle with that too much, but we probably would put in a movie. I'd probably lay down on the couch with them. Just try to relax when you can. Mm-hmm. It's okay to relax. It's okay to allow yourself space and time to decompress or recharge.
I feel like I did not get a lot of what people would call me time. I didn't have family close.
Did you feel like you needed me time?
I feel like that's a new...
I think so too.
A new kind of thing that moms didn't get. Like, I don't know. I see it more now. Like, I need some me time or just different. I don't know. I didn't get a lot of that.
I didn't.
But I had to build it in myself, like my quiet time every day. Hey, let's take an hour. Everybody go to your room and you can play in the corner. You can take a nap. You can read a book, but we're not going to have screens. We're just going to rest. And that kind of made me excited to see them again in an hour, like it was just like, I'm tired. I just need a reset. I know a lot of people love a good bubble bath. Maybe you take a field trip instead for the day because you just need a break from the day to day. What other things you got? Like
take a nice walk, read a book, date nights.
Maybe date nights or dad takes the kids on a date so that you can just have a couple hours at home with just...
And if you have multiple kids, trying to just schedule a date with just one child at a time. Mm-hmm. That's always really good for your soul.
My parents had a weekly date night.
Did they?
And that was always something that I aspired. We don't do that. We've never done that, but we do find a lot of time to, like, I'll go on a claim with him or whatever, and we'll get dinner, and it's kind of a date. But our dates are always mixed with work somehow. But
me and John go clubbing every Friday.
Do you?
Costco, Sam's.
But yeah, so we all need a break here and there, and I think more moms get more me time than I ever did. My mom got a ton of me time because we were in private schools and she didn't work. So there was tons of time for her to watch her soap operas and
have her bonbons.
Yes, exactly. But when you decide to homeschool, you're like throwing away the me time a lot of times.
You really are. And it's hard, but again, that's part of homeschooling is more than just educating at home. It's about creating family, creating great members of future families and society.
And just building that relationship because we are close. Like I said, we're like our little own Amish community without the Amish.
This is, I think, one of the reasons why I loved schooling all year. Because you can be more lackadaisical. And if you need time to take a few days to like reset your house, you can do that. If you need a few days to go to a few different parks in a field trip, you can do that. There's just not this strain of we have to get everything done today. And that's where you and I were saying that it really is, this is where the name of the podcast came in, that your relationships are greater than your worksheets.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And a saying, I've seen it everywhere since the day I started homeschooling, is the goal is not to check boxes. It's to check hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Build relationships. Character. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to take a step back. Like if you're finding your kids are not functioning members of the family, sometimes you have to take that step back from the curriculum and say, we're going to work on your character, and it might be a painful week for all involved.
And there's going to be resistance.
Oh, yeah.
You got to fight through it.
Oh, yeah.
Pray.
Yep. There's definitely, days where you're having some come to Jesus meetings, but it's definitely, it's worth it.
Do you have any advice for moms who are ready to throw in their towel? Like we're at the end of the school year for a lot of people, and they're like, I don't know if I can do this again next year. Because there's too much.
I'd plan a date night. I'd get somebody to watch the kids, and I would go out with Bob, and I would be like, okay, I need help. Mm-hmm. I need help figuring out what's working, what's not working. And granted, he wouldn't be there all day, but he still knows the day to day. Like he still could see, okay, well, you can see that or I would say, this one's giving me a hard time, and I need you to come alongside me and put down the hammer when I say something, because they're obviously just ignoring me and moving on. So there was a lot of times, and maybe if it wasn't, we weren't rich, so we didn't have a lot of money. So it wasn't, not a date night where we're getting all gussied up. It might be sitting at a picnic table with a notebook and saying, okay, this worked this year. This did not work. Yeah. What can we do better? And a lot of times he was just a sounding board because he wasn't in the day-to-day thick of it with me, but he would just be like, okay, well, maybe you can drop that. Or maybe you need to offload that subject, maybe get an online class or a co-op class that will help come alongside you. See, co-op always worked for all of our kids.
Yeah.
So that was the one we chose. But
it's hard because you see all your friends on Facebook and all the fun activities that their kids are doing, and there's already a built-in guilt about homeschooling and your children missing out. So that layered with trying to keep up with everybody. And now it is like your children have to be in like 50 different activities. It's too much. Yeah. It's okay to not be in anything.
Right.
It really is okay.
Yeah. Yep. And there's an expectation of where's all this money going to come from?
Yeah.
And a lot of times families fall prey to taking state funding because they feel like they need to be in all these activities. And, whether that state funding leads to more regulations or not, we haven't seen that yet, but that's the worry. And so
sometimes there's a moral aspect to not wanting to use tax dollars. I don't want the tax dollars. I don't want them.
Right. I've heard from some parents, well, how do you how do you homeschool, 6 kids and do all the things? And sometimes you just don't.
You don't.
But that doesn't mean that your kids aren't going to love each other, love you, be well-rounded adults. You might just have to go about it differently. Or maybe you trade some volunteer time for that activity. Maybe you muck out stalls so you get an hour of riding. You can barter and you can figure things out but it's just, sometimes you just need to take things off your plate too. And I see that a lot at co-op. People will be like, I just can't do co-op this semester. I've just got too much going on.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely fine to say, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I just always stuck with what worked for the whole family versus necessarily just catering to the one specific child. And there's so many choices now that it's definitely, you're weeding out the things to do versus looking for things to do. You're trying to find what works best for you.
Did you personally ever feel like tossing in the towel and giving up homeschooling?
No, I don't think so. It became such a lifestyle. If you listen to our other episodes, I never was really going to start homeschooling.
Yeah.
But ended up doing it. And once Bob got into insurance, we could travel with him, and it became just such an easy thing to do. I'd really never felt like it was something I was going to stop doing.
Yeah.
And then with the kids going in OSTC, I just didn't want them in the public school. Didn't really see a whole lot of fruit in the private school sector.
Yeah.
And so it was just keep it going and make it work.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it's just determination. I'm going to make this work.
Yeah.
And if someone has to sit on their bed for the day because they're not going to cooperate, then they have to sit on their bed for the day. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
There is the element of the hard days, and they sometimes can be hard weeks, but it is all crafting their personality and honing their personality. I don't know. But yeah, there's the hard years. Those 10 to 13, I feel like are the hardest years. And especially if you have a 10 to 13 and a baby and a toddler, those are some crazy years.
Yeah.
But
they say long days, short years. Is that what it is? It happens so fast. So you just got to power through these rough spots.
Definitely. And patience. You're going through changes too. I mean, if you had a baby, your hormones are all over the place.
Yeah.
If you're pregnant, your hormones are all over the place. If you're perimenopausal, your hormones are all over the place. So sometimes the kids are adapting to us as much as we are adapting to the children. So, I mean, everybody needs some grace. One question I just thought of that. Do you feel like you didn't have the burnout because you didn't adhere to the school year calendar as much as maybe a mom who's trying to do everything in the school year?
Oh yeah, for 100%. Yeah. We originally started doing the year round because the first 2 years we did traditional school year, but then when it came back around to the fall, trying to get everybody back into a routine, and the kids just fought it tooth and nail, like getting back into the groove of school, it was just too much. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to do this all year. Mm-hmm. And then you can take smaller breaks.
Right.
I love it. I would encourage anyone to do year round.
Well, I feel like we have exhausted this scheduling subject. Thanks for joining us. And if you're interested in asking us questions or giving us any sort of feedback, we would love that. Beyond the Lesson Plans, the number 2 at gmail.com. Or we have a Facebook page.
Instagram.
And
we're on all the podcast platforms.
Yes. So ask away. We'd love to have you encourage us in some new ideas. All right. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.